Now this is the Dungeons and Dragons I grew up with. It's incredibly iconic. You show this picture to anyone around the world and they'll be like, Dungeons and Dragons. I mean, look, you got the heroes forming a party, and they're fighting against insurmountable odds. They're fighting against a lich dragon, and there's undead here. There's magic. The characters are oozing with personality. Like, you just look at them and you realize, all right, this is a barbarian or a fighter. This is a ranger, right? Like, it sticks out. It's a very good design. Here's another example. You got a different type of adventure. Like, this one takes place on the sea, and you got all these sea creatures attacking the heroes, and behind you got like this huge monster. And the themes are clear. It's fantasy. Right? There's a lot of magic. There's a world filled with mystery. You want to chart the world. You want to explore. You want to get into the adventure just by looking at it. And someone looked at this game and realized that it's very profitable and it's selling. So, of course, what you need to do is change it. Because that's what you do when something is actually working. You change it. And these people, the way they change things is like they look at a car and they think like, okay, well, let's add another wheel to it because it will go faster. You know, like the design that they're adding doesn't make sense. They call it inclusivity. And they're like, okay, well, if this caters to young men, let's add shit that doesn't cater to young men, because clearly this will just get new people in and will not cause the people we already have to leave. So what they did with the changes is make the game into something like this. Now this is the most iconic picture that I can think of to describe the absolute state of Dungeons and Dragons today. And of course it's posted on Tumblr. This is official artwork, by the way. Right? And it's not the Mexican orcs, like that's another one. But when we look at it, what do we see? Well, the fantasy element is completely gone. They're not fighting against a dragon. They're not delving into some uncharted dungeon. They're not even showing the iconic party members. You don't see the wizard and the fighter and the rogue. You do see diversity, like that's there, right? Because that's why people play Dungeons and Dragons, for the diversity. So you got like all sorts of races here of dwarves. And you also have like LGBT representation. I don't know if you guys can see, but these two dwarves, they have tattoos, and they have tattoo of each other's beard. So like this guy has a tattoo of this guy's beard, and this guy has a tattoo of this guy's beard. Like this is the focus of the art, right? Like this is what the artist was asked to focus on. Not like a battle with a mythical creature, exploring an uncharted cave. No, like none of that. Like the important thing is what the Democrats care, right? LGBT, diversity, representation. And the question is like, why do people find this picture so offensive? Because like everyone that I've seen looked at this picture and they had like this knee-jerk reaction of disgust. And I just couldn't tell why that is. Until I realized it's literally a stock photo. It's those photos that you get from the internet to put as a thumbnail that the press uses whenever they write an article, and then they decide to use it as the thumbnail for that article. And you have like people of various walks of life, very diverse people, and they're all smiling to the camera. They're all doing literally this shit. And this is so genetic when you think about it. Like, if you change the background, you can put it in a spaceship, you can put it in a current day, you can put it in a fantasy. It fits. Like, no matter the background, like, this picture fits because it's so genetic. It is so bland. It is so devoid of soul. And this is why it causes disgust in people, because it reminds them of the stock photos. And stock photos are usually associated with the office, they are associated with the workplace, and they're definitely not associated with something that you do for entertainment. They're not associated with something that you just gather around with people in order to have fun. So this is the absolute state of Dungeons and Dragons right now. Like, completely devoid of this, completely devoid of soul, completely devoid of passion. And instead you get the message, which you pretty much find in every single American entertainment. Like, you just can't get away from it. And everyone knows the message by heart by now. And everyone understands the message, like, we're aware of it. But you just can't get away from it because it's absolutely everywhere, and they keep repeating it every time, in every production. So the question is like, who's responsible for this? Like, who thinks that it's a good idea to just constantly repeat the same message over and over, push it where it doesn't belong? And the answer is people like this, right? So this person, this is what they tweeted in the past, saying that there's been a mistake made in years past where people assumed that Dungeons and Dragons players were, white dudes in a basement. So I don't know, like, the focus on white, but again, like, they cannot separate the American Gender Studies academia from literally any other walk of life that they do. Like they went to academia and they think that it applies everywhere. The thing is, like, yeah, like, Dungeons and Dragons wasn't associated with dudes, it was associated with geeks. So it was associated with the people that got bullied in school. And there's a reason for this, is that the popular kids weren't interested. The popular girls weren't interested. Like, if you went, when I was younger, in public, and you said that you played Dungeons & Dragons, you became radioactive to pussy. You were treated exactly the same as an incel is treated today. So you had, like, a very small group of friends that you could play the game with. But if you went to, like, one of the girls, they would be like, well, what is this nonsense? You're playing with dolls? Like, what are these action figures, these toys, make-believes? Like, when are you going to grow up? Jesus, stop being a child. Like, only children play with these types of toys. And that is why it wasn't perceived, but it was literally that most D&D groups were mostly geeks. You wouldn't find jocks in them. You would find different races. Like, black people play D&D. Like, it wasn't for white dudes. But it was for, like, the losers of the class. And of course, time goes on and being a geek becomes more accepting with shows like Big Bang Theory and Stranger Things and other shows. And now Dungeons and Dragons is very popular. But it's still not going to make a lady moist, Like, if you go to a woman at the bar, it's like, hey, beautiful, did you want me to tell you about my level 20 warlock? It's not going to impress her that much. Because, well, there are some girls that play, of course, and there's more now than there used to be. It's very unlikely your mother plays. Like, let's be honest, I don't care what these people are saying. Like, it's their interest to sell the game. But the reality is, grandma is not going to play D&D anytime soon. It's still a boys-only thing, and it's mostly for teenage boys. Although, some adults are playing now simply because they grew up, and now it's more easy to play because you don't have to get together in the same room and you can play it over the internet. Which, by the way, back then it was difficult to get people to play, right? If they have families and girlfriends and stuff. Which is probably why it was the incel game, right? Because, like, other people, they did go out and they did have relationships and shit. So, like, getting together in a room, in a basement, playing D&D all night wasn't something that the popular kids were doing. It makes sense if you think about it. But this chucklehead, like, no, he believes that everyone wanted to play D&D. Like, this was the hot shit at the time, but like, people were gatekeeping, right? Like, the white dudes were incredibly racist and sexist and were preventing people from going to the store and buying their own copy. Like, this is the mentality. No, unironically, this is how people think. And they post this in public, expecting that other individuals will read what they say and not laugh at them. So, apparently, he believes that this was an assumption, right? Like, when he grew up, your mother was playing D&D. Like, it's just, everyone was playing D&D. And in his viewpoint, honestly, guys like me can't leave soon enough for this hobby. Like, this is a bizarre statement, isn't it? Like, oh, we need inclusivity, so we need to kick all the white men in order to be inclusive. Even though, like, this is a game made by white people, because it was made in Britain at the time when Britain wasn't this diverse. It was made by white people, and anyone could play it. Like, there was nothing stopping a group of ladies from going to the store, buying D&D, and then playing together. Absolutely nothing was stopping them from doing that, but for some reason, he believes that it's white men that were stopping them.
And so it's in my...
So listen to this guy. Listen to it. And this is like someone that actually worked at Dungeons and Dragons.
And so it's, in my viewpoint, honestly, guys like me can't leave soon enough for this hobby.
Right. So he got fired. Now, I don't know why he got fired. A lot of people say, oh, well, now Dungeons and Dragons is changing for the better. I don't know, like maybe they hire someone more radical than him. What I do know is that I listened to a couple of interviews with the people in charge for D&D, and they literally said, yeah, D&D, as it was made in the past, it would not be allowed to be made today, under any circumstance. So basically they're admitting that a game that is so popular That, again, like, everyone in the world knows about it. I'm so sick and tired of using this expression, but it's so true. Like, these are mainstream things to the point where they're cultural hallmarks. Like, you cannot think of a single place on Earth where at least some individuals haven't heard about Dungeons and Dragons. Like, even in India, you go to India, you mention Dungeons and Dragons, like, maybe they haven't played the game, maybe they don't know what it's about, but, like, they have heard of it. Definitely. It's, like, it's a British and American cultural hallmark. And they're basically saying, yeah, we wouldn't want to make that now. Even though it goes around the world, and it shows where their priorities are. It's because the old Dungeons and Dragons, while it was a money printing machine and a cultural hallmark, unfortunately it didn't have the message. And the message is what's important. This is their product. But they know that the message is disgusting, like people are sick and tired of it. So now they have to hide it in the broccoli. Now they have to find what people actually like and enjoy and hide the message in it so that when you consume the product, you also get the message. And this is the metaphor that the creator of the Last of Us 2 TV show actually used. He was like, yeah, I had the gay scene in the show and I had to hide it like a mother hides the carrot in the broccoli because I knew the audience doesn't like it. And that's such a disgusting way of thinking, right? Like infantilizing your audience, treating them like children, thinking that you're better than them. And this is exactly what people at Wizards of the Coast are doing. Now, the interesting part is that if you share this post, the other people that still work at the Wizards of the Coast will block you. Which, to me, symbolizes that they're not very happy that this guy got fired. I don't know what he did. But I don't know why they're not happy, because he got his wish. Like, the man had the Dragon Balls, and he wished that people like him wouldn't be associated with the hobby. And it seems that he's getting the wish. So I don't understand why people are upset. Very rarely do you see something like that. It reminds me of Princeton University. If you guys don't remember, a couple of years ago, the dean from Princeton University goes in public and says, yeah, our university has been racist and discriminatory for decades. And this happened during the Trump administration. So the government is like, hold on a little bit. Like, that's illegal. Like, we're giving you government money and you're telling us that you're being racist and discriminatory. So they launched an investigation into Princeton. This is very similar to that, right? Where the guy goes up and it's like, yeah, I think like white people like me shouldn't be part of the game. So now he's getting fired. You can't make this shit up. I mean, this is literally what they wish for. You know, at least some other people like wish for it indirectly. It's like, oh, well, I hope they hire more non-white people. And then, in order to do that, they have to fire some of the people that work there. And sometimes they get fired themselves, right? Like, that's an indirect way of wanting to lose your job. But, like, the direct way is genuinely how this guy did it. It's like, yeah, I think, like, people like me shouldn't be working there. Okay, let me know what you guys think. And as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.